Hello, hello. This is the 31st test from the future, an experimental podcast from the year 2221, which we are trying to send back in time as far as possible. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And today, we're really excited because this is episode 31. We've been recording 30 episodes, every episode trying to send back to the past, asking people to let us know if they hear it. And what happened?
We got a response for episode 29. We got an email from someone in the past.
Yeah, super. But it's amazing news. So that means that we did actually reach somebody. The email is from the year 2021. Which, funny enough, is exactly 200 years ago.
Which works out really well with how we've been thinking of things.
And we were roughly trying to go for this period and at end of the 1900s. But that it ended up exactly 200 years is really interesting. So the email is from Gustav. He didn't give us any more details. And he writes, "Are you for real?"
I mean, I think we are.
I had to read it out loud before I understand what he was saying
because of the way he wrote, the way it was spelled. Yeah,
exactly. So Gustav, thanks a lot. So thanks
Indeed,
to you.
Thank you very much for actually letting us know that we've reached the past.
Yeah. I'm really excited, and this also means that we can stop testing. So I'm still saying it's a 31st test from the future.
So I was thinking about that. Yes. Obviously, we'll continue using the same technique we used in episode 29. We need people, at least one person each episode, to actually tell us that they're still getting it, yeah?
That's right.
Because it'll be really lame if we assume it works, we keep using the same technique, and we get no responses because actually it stopped working.
I assume at least Gustav is listening. He listened to the 29th episode.
Almost certainly listening to this one too.
So we sent out the 30th episodes in the meantime using the low fidelity
we haven't
wave
got a
burner.
response on that yet.
Yeah,
that was 21, minus 21.
Yeah. So which was the technique that worked in the end?
Minus 20. So what was it called again? Minus 21 was the setting. That was that was the one that didn't work. That was last week. Minus 20 2 weeks ago. That's the one that went through.
And that was the low fidelity wave burner.
That was it.
Wow, I hadn't expected this one to work.
Nope. That was some cheap piece of crap. But hey, set to the correct setting, it seems to work.
So this means that we can now actually record a proper episode. So the idea was that we speak a little bit about our everyday technology, and we're sending it back to you guys, or at the moment at least to Gustav, I hope.
Sure, if he's the only person getting it, maybe he'll be nice enough to pass it along.
Yeah, that's right. Gustav, tell your friends about it.
And send them it.
Or don't tell anybody about it, and be really cool about all the future knowledge that you will have.
Sure.
So
if we get no more emails from anyone other than Gustav, that's what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Then we know that he's keeping it for himself. Don't keep it to yourself, Gustav.
No.
So but the idea is that we speak a little bit about our everyday technology, because we assume this is going to be super exciting for the people in the past. In the pilot episode that made it through, we spoke about the lenses. But we've been touching briefly about many different topics in the past 30 episodes that we did, but a little bit. So the idea is that in these episodes we speak in more depth about it, maybe answer some questions from listeners. But I've been thinking, Simon, should we have items?
Items?
Yeah, like in the podcast,
like sections.
Yeah, every week we interview somebody, or every week we speak about how our day was.
We could do. I hadn't thought of it before, but sure, we could do that. Like we have introduction, of course. So you mean like every time also then a regular segment? That's the word I'm thinking of.
Segment. Yeah, maybe. Or commercials. We let the people from the past hear the commercials from the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do, of course. They can't then buy the things or make any use of, but sure, it's just for interest, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll find a sponsor here that their target group is people that lived 200 years ago.
Yeah, no, they got the long term, so they're going to send advertising back 200 years so that great-great-grandparents of people who are alive now know those things whatever the things are, tell them to their children, who tell them to their children, and so on, so that by now, their great-great-grandchildren will want to buy whatever the thing is.
Or
like the fluffy mattress.
They say, invest in our company, we're going to be doing really well because we're still going to be around in 200 years.
Sure, when it's a company that exists now that also existed 200 years ago.
Or just put your money on this bank account. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by this particular cryptocurrency.
Actually, I said it for fun, but this could actually work.
It could. So then we would, when we play these advertisements, they will be from companies in our time, not from companies 200. Yeah. The advertisements will be from now, not from 200 years ago. Yeah. Nice. Okay, then let's think about those. We didn't really prepare any segments. I like it. Segments. Sure, our focus was just on getting a response from the past to confirm that we had a technique to send stuff back. Now that we've got that, hey, let's actually send some stuff back.
True.
Some information.
But also, as we promised, Gustav and hopefully some other people, we would speak about our everyday technology. What shall we speak about today?
Let's talk about teleportation.
Yeah, good idea. So, maybe briefly introduce it. I assume... Sure. I don't know how long it's been around, but I doubt it was there already 200 years ago.
I think it wasn't 200 years ago. I think back then they only had transportation. And that was where to get from one place to another. They could walk, get ride on the back of a monkey, go in a boat. They had things called cars. So they had different ways of getting from one place to another. Mm-hmm. And depending on the method, it could be faster or slower. But it took time, was the main thing.
Yeah.
And with the main difference between that and transportation is that transportation is immediate. You dematerialize in one place and rematerialize in another at the same moment, like a second later or whatever, but you're not taking weeks or months or days or whatever to travel.
It's interesting. So the difference between teleportation and transportation is teleportation gets you somewhere immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Like you could imagine some scenario where, okay, we'll get you there 10 minutes later. Maybe if the bandwidth is really low, but no, by now it's immediate.
So maybe useful to mention to the listeners, I think
I was describing what they had so that they could understand what we have.
Right.
Transportation versus teleportation. By now, for us, it's normal. That's how we get around. Obviously, you can go for a walk if you want, but the way we usually travel from one place to another is transportation.
Walking is more for fun and health.
Yeah, to stop your legs cramping up.
Yeah. So I think I know actually one person who doesn't have a teleporter for whatever reason, but yeah, pretty much.
You're not going to name them. You're just saying one person.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure,
maybe we can. It would be interesting to interview her at one point, but other than that, I think everyone has at least one teleporter. Some people. I also know somebody who has 4, I think, and they have like a one-room apartment.
Yeah, from different providers.
Yeah. It's
one goes down, you can use the other.
Yeah, and especially since Brazil, signed the exclusivity deal with. What are they called? GreenCell. Mm-hmm. Then you can only go to Brazil if you have a GreenCell teleporter. So
sure.
Anyway, but most people just have one, and sometimes one teleporter you can transport somewhere, and then there is a GreenCell teleporter there, and from there you can then go to Brazil, for example.
Sure, yeah. And if you try to you try to teleport somewhere where they're incompatible, you just get bounced back. So you think, hey, I'm going to go to Brazil, and then no, actually, I'm just back in my own room.
Yeah, so I think teleporters are pretty much everywhere. You see them in the countryside a lot as well.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice way to get exactly. You work in the city, but you want to spend some time out in some forests or some meadows or whatever. It's a quick and easy way to get there.
And I think useful maybe to know is you can either pay for like a single transaction. You can have like a monthly kind of not a flat rate, but you get like a minimum of 50 transportations and you pay the rest. But then, it's cheaper. Or you have a subscription service where you don't just get teleportation, but also other stuff. You can get...
Sure, you can watch some TV shows alongside it.
And you get points. The more you teleport, the more points you get. You get like a free teleportation a week and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So do you? How often do you use it?
Not so often. I work from home.
Ah.
So I basically, I use it to go to the shops, visit family. But sure, how often? Maybe once or twice a month at most.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I kind of like my house, in principle, sure, I could go anywhere I want in the world, in the universe for that matter. It costs a bit more, of course, but in practice, I pretty much stay at home.
Okay, I didn't know.
Just use it for the necessities.
I use it several times a day.
Oh.
I use it to get here. So
Sure. We record this at my place, so you're the one coming to me, so I don't need to use it to go to.
But I also have to say I have a pretty expensive deal. So I get I get how many jumps do I get a month? The latest deal was 400. No, I have to check.
Like
but
400 trips, and you're doing like 3 or 4 a day. So, how many a day roughly?
I think 4 or 5.
Okay, so that works out well.
Yeah, but I still, so at the end of the month, I often run out, so I probably make more jumps. But I use it for everything.
Uh-huh.
I go for my morning run and I do it outside.
So you don't just walk out like of your own house, like through the door. You teleport somewhere else.
Yeah. So like this morning, I actually did my morning run in Brazil because I have a GreenCell.
I see.
So whatever.
Okay, so do you every day? Do you go for a run somewhere different? Like, or do you have some favorite routes?
Yeah, I have favorite routes, but of course, since we still can't really control the weather, I check before.
Sure.
And also
Makes sense.
my favorite run is actually in a little bit outside of Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, if I go for my morning run, it's not morning there. So it's
right. That's an important point for people in the past. We have transporters. They do not transport you in time. They only transport you in space. So, for example, you want to go, you still have the same time zone issues. If it's raining somewhere, you can't teleport there like 6 months ago in the summer or whatever.
To be honest, I check the weather not just because I don't want to do my morning run in the rain, but of course, as you know, when the weather is bad, like they had thunderstorms in Argentina for several weeks in a row, remember?
Yep.
Then you couldn't teleport there.
No, because of the interference.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure, and you don't want to go in drop bear season in Australia. You've got to avoid that too. So, yeah.
So, how's your bounce rate? Do you get bounced a lot?
Because I travel so little, no.
Okay.
Supermarket does not bounce me. They have an incentive for me to go there that I'll spend money. I think it's more like when you're going somewhere more exotic. That's an issue. Yeah,
it is. You asked before. I really love to run in Botswana, and especially, they are super. That's the weird thing, right? They were super advanced as far as connection technology, and there's a really nice run. It's kind of in the middle of Botswana, but it's completely away of everything. You just have countrysides, hills, and sometimes villages. Super nice, but I just can't get through anymore. I think
at all.
No. Like last month, I managed to get there once. All the other times I bounced. Also,
do they tell you why it bounced? Do you get a message or?
No, you get an error code. Sure. But I don't know what the error code means.
And who looks those up? So you just don't know, but you end up back in your house.
Yeah, and then it's like I don't have to go there, But it's been a while that I couldn't visit my sister. Yeah, but that was because she didn't pay. Of course,
both ends need to have an up-to-date plan.
Yeah, exactly. And then
you can use the community ones, but no one does.
Yeah, it depends on where you go. If you go to Iran, you usually end up at a community one. I don't know how they set that up, but they. But to be honest, I still manage to go to Botswana more often than to my mom's. At least via teleporter, because she doesn't install the system update.
Right. At least, that's one issue. My dad just switches it off. Instead of putting it in standby mode, he just switches it off. So, that's cool, but I need to arrange beforehand. Okay, please switch it on so that I can
because
come
I'm
visit.
coming.
Yeah.
It's really, you hear more about the older generation. My mom had that for a while because she was afraid where that,
anyone random could just pop through, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, but then it makes it really less convenient.
Yeah, but you can set it up that you authorize first. I don't have that. And to be honest, like, when was the last time I had a stranger in my house? I think it was January.
Mm-hmm. Like unannounced, you mean?
Yeah,
Someone just showed up.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, it's just people that I know. And okay, they don't do it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So they
wrong number, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, then he wasted one jump, and then we left again. So, but at least it's a nice way to meet new people.
Sure. And sometimes you get some nice food. Long delivery, for someone's ordered some tasty food, gets delivered to you by accident. Well, okay, that's a happy accident.
That's interesting, actually. So, what's the one of the funny things that happened to you when teleporting?
It's not like a one-time thing, actually. It's more maybe because I do it less frequently than yourself. Yeah, it's something I noticed, which is that when I rematerialize somewhere for maybe 10-15 minutes, I'm more blocky.
Huh?
Like when I look down at my hands, I can make out pixels. Like I can see squares, really tiny ones, but I can see, hey, I'm made up of lots of little tiny squares. And then over the next 10-15 minutes or so, it's like, I don't know, I shake loose a little bit. And then when I next look at my hands, for example, they're rounded, they're less blocky.
Yeah, I heard about that. But is it actually the case, or is it maybe your lens is not properly...
That's what I've heard too, right? It's not actually that I'm physically more blocky, it's the lens is having difficulty adjusting.
Okay.
I never take them out, so can't confirm it.
You ever had a virus in the teleporter?
Yeah, I'm trying to... It was a long time ago now, so not recently. What did it do? That was a weird one. So it was things that were teleported to me. It wasn't me myself, like my body, But I had some things teleported to me, some pictures to put up on the wall, and most of them were fine. And then a few of them, they were really pixelated, isn't the word, like corrupted. But visually, So it looked kind of cool, actually. It looked like an interesting art piece. And actually, one of them I even thought, that's what it's meant to look like. And then later I contacted the artist and I said, hey, why? Because I saw a reprint, like a re-edition of his work. And I was like, hey, why does it look so different from that one I got a few years ago? I was like, that one a few years ago, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have come through that way. So, but that's, I don't know even if that was a virus. It's more just like I'm happy it happened to the artwork and not me, myself. Yourself?
I think for me, it's kind of still the case. I spilled coffee once. It's especially if I'm in a hurry. Especially if I'm often in a hurry when we meet with the ethics council. There are a bunch of whatever. So and then I have my coffee in my one hand, and then you get in, and then I spilled it.
As you got into the teleporter?
While teleporting.
Okay.
So it basically, bits got spilled in my house, bits got spilled at the ethics council, and it's kind of lingered. I cleaned up the teleporter completely in my house. Even later, I had somebody come over and properly clean it. But for the longest time, whenever I transported anywhere,
a few drops would
just
continue, not continue, like from that one that fell in the past. Kept falling on the floor.
Yeah, and things kept smelling like coffee mostly. You couldn't really see it, but you could smell it. I would transport to my mom's, and she would say, "Did you bring coffee?" Because something smelled coffee.
So I don't use it often, but it's not because I dislike it. It's just that I don't want to go anywhere that much. But I do know some people are really paranoid about transporters still, and they won't go through with coffee. That would be a terrifying thought to them, because when they go through a transporter, they take off all their clothes. They go through completely with nothing because they're worried that whatever they go through with will fuse with them. So with coffee, they'd be worried that they'd go through and become something like Too Much Coffee Man or something like that. I see, obviously you yourself have not become made of coffee, but you've got this thing now where things smell of coffee.
Yeah, but it's just after teleporting. So it's not like permanent thing. It's just whenever
when you get home. When you get home, or even when you transport anywhere else, because you're going through when you go through your
both. But it's even if it's from or to my teleporter.
Sure.
Because if I get visitors, it's not. It doesn't happen anymore now. But for a while, if I get visitors now, then it's the same thing. It's like, hey, this visitor smells like coffee, but it disappears. So and
occasionally you have a barista visiting you, makes sense, but other times less so.
But I think that is the most funniest thing. I mean, I've maybe what's not so funny is I went to Burning Man, and it was, there were too many people going there. You know, it's like it was a myth when we were saying, hey, now we have teleporters, we don't have to queue anymore. You know, because they can't have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people coming out of a teleporter at the same time. It's still queuing up, you know. So you're saying, I want to go there. And sometimes there's a signal saying waiting time 5 minutes.
Like everyone in their own house has their own teleporter, but they're going to another teleporter and then there's a limit.
Exactly. And then it says waiting time 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, it still said that. At one point it said waiting time half an hour. But you leave your teleporter, then you're back in the front of the queue because you need to get recalibrated. And then I didn't end up going at all in the end.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, okay, sure, I go next time. But that was that's the thing about technology. You know, it's awesome, but then next time they should just have more teleporters. But in Burning Man, they're being a little bit, you know, there's this down to earth vibe that we spoke about last time. It's there as well, so they have like 5 teleporters or so, you know. And if you have
and they're like in tents, so that the people who are already there in the festival, they don't notice people like just springing into existence. They just see them coming out of tents, like to maintain the illusion that there's no modern technology.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think maybe they also want to keep it exclusive, you know, because you can't really control who goes there, you know. I remember was it the solar eclipse, you know, and then it was in the news, you could really see it in Bangladesh, and then everybody went there, you know, and like half the world was in Bangladesh, as if there aren't enough people in Bangladesh already. And then they started regulating a little bit.
You can imagine, I don't think it's happened so far, but you can imagine at some point, say, you're saying so many people went to one spot, to one place, so I guess Bangladesh is a big place, but, you know, go to one part of the Earth, that maybe then it affects the rotation of the Earth, like gets it lopsided.
Whoa.
Something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
That would be a nice experiment.
Right, like the idea that, this has been an idea for centuries, I think, the idea that if everyone could just organize to jump up and then presumably land at the same time, that it could make an earthquake or some other. I mean, that sounds not so nice. Why would you want to do that? But you know what I mean? It would have some demonstrative effect across the whole planet.
If everybody, I mean, because what I really like about a teleporter is you can set them to random. What if we all decided to jump in our teleporter, set it to random, and it just finds the first free slot, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's routing. You don't teleport into the same location as someone else and bump heads.
Exactly. So you'll just basically everybody swap places, kind of a thing. We should organize this, like the random swap day or something like that. Everybody at 10 o'clock go to random swap, and everybody ends up somewhere.
Yeah, it's a kind of it would be fun to do. I think it's the kind of thing every so often, every few years, someone, now us, thinks, hey, that would be fun to do, and they do it,
and then it happens.
And then it's fun. Yeah.
Okay. Well, normally I would say let's answer some listener questions about teleportation.
That's what we look forward to, yeah.
But maybe that's a segment. Like, if you have any more questions about teleportation, take an email.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to keep it focused. Yeah, like in general, of course, ask us any questions you have about the future. But for us, the way we'll organize it is ask us about what we've just, the subject we've spoken about, and then we'll answer them in the next one.
And then you can put the episode in the title of the email.
Well, which we need to know anyway to confirm that this method of sending stuff back to the past is actually still working.
So we get A, confirmation that it still works, and B...
If we disappear for 5 years at some point, you know, presumably it stopped working. Hopefully we'll find another way, but yeah.
And then next episode we can say, hey, let's see, we got some questions about teleportation. So Gustav, if you have any questions, let us know.
Right, we know you're listening, or we hope you're listening since you listened to the last one and we're using the same technique. So yeah, let us know any questions you have.
Then maybe that's a good point. In all the test episodes, we mentioned email address. Did we mention it this time?
That it existed. I don't remember, so I'll say it again, even if we said it earlier. Mika Elazagna5 @gmail.com. That's Michael Lasagna5 @gmail.com.
Yeah, so we can actually read this. This email address should already exist in your time. Gustav
By
found it.
definition, yeah, he wrote to us.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some emails in there from somebody who was actually using this, but at one point it stopped, and we can read whatever came in. So at the moment it's still empty except for Gustav's email.
Yep.
But you send it, we can read it, and then we can answer your questions.
And we look forward to that.
So did we miss anything? Is there anything left that we should mention, maybe about teleportation, about anything?
Nothing springs to mind.
Okay. Then this was our first really, really proper actual podcast episode. A milestone, thanks to Gustav, thanks to the low fidelity wave burner. Any closing comments?
Episode 31, that's what you need to put in the subject when you write to us.
All right. Everybody, thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.